All right. Welcome to the Credit Union Finals Preview Show. As always, my co-host is Ramon De Los Santos, and I'm your other co-host, Jeff Marone. Man, I can't believe we made it this far. We're here, but before we get into anything, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who's been listening, who's supported us, and just really have shared gave us great feedback, shared the YouTube videos and everything. And I also want to thank you, Ramon, for all your time and everything like this. You really took the show up to another level. The first show I did by myself was god awful, and then you came on. It turned into a whole different thing. So I just really appreciate your time and everything you've done for this show, and really took it to another level.
No, thank you, Jeff. I think what you've been doing is great. Like I've always said, in a year where it's been so unpredictable, and we weren't sure we're gonna have a season or not, it's turned out to be as good as we can make it, right? With all the coverage, all the live streams, all the things. So I think the parents, the kids, everybody still feels like they're aware of everything that's going on, whether they can make it to the games or not.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. All right. Well, we had a crazy week of playoffs, and now we're here. We're at the finals. Our D3, D2, and D1 finals are set. What were your thoughts on the playoffs before we start breaking into the finals?
Oh man, it's been such a wild ride, and it sucks because you can't help to think like, wow, if fans were there and when this happened, oh my god, like you think of some of these games, some of these upsets, like if it was in a court in a gym full of fans, it would just be so much better. But I mean, we got to make the best of it.
That's right. Yeah, it would have been crazy. I know there's a couple overtime thrillers, and I could only imagine what the crowds would have been like in those, and people going nuts. And so let's get into it though. Let's get into the Credit Union Championships preview by starting off with Division Three. Our finals are between one team who started to get hot at the end of the season and one team who has been consistent throughout the regular season. This matchup is between Blackstone Valley Prep and Times 2. I mean, Blackstone Valley Prep was a number 5 seed in their journey to get here. They beat Pontiac. They beat a very good St. Pat's team, and they beat Davies, who's undefeated. I mean, what are your thoughts on Blackstone Valley Prep and their journey to the finals?
It's such a fun team to watch play, and I mean, from the beginning of the season, I feel like whenever they were playing, I would kind of find my way over to kind of their YouTube link. I know their AD Ed Leskowski, I think, does the YouTube. He does a great job. Even some of the away games he was able to do in the playoffs. It's just a fun team to watch. We knew they got hot at the right time, and it shows. I mean, they're beating teams that supposedly we're supposed to beat them, and they're beating them convincingly. It's not even like a close game. Like the way they beat Davies and the way they beat St. Pat's, it was just like, wow. They came to play, and obviously we know Xavier and Jordan Mendes are just playing out of their minds. I mean, Xavier is averaging like 20 and 20 in the playoffs, and Jordan's averaging close to 30 points per game. So it's two amazing players, and they have a great supporting cast. Xavier Lara is another junior who plays really well. They have a bunch of players, and even got some young players. My guy, got to give a shout out to my guy Q, who's also on Blackstone Valley Prep. Doesn't play as much, but when they call his number, he's ready to go. And he's a pesky defender, good ball handler. So fun team to watch.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, and they've been beating their teams by like an average of like 27 points per game of every team that they've played. So it's going to be interesting. They beat an undefeated Davies team. So it's going to be great to see them. And then their opponents, on the other hand, is Times 2. They were the number 2 seed coming into this tournament, and they had some tough battles. Times 2 had a tough battle against Moses Brown, really came down to the wire. They beat Moses Brown 48-45. And they're led by Jason Peters, who led the way with 20 points. And then, then last night, they beat a very good West Warwick team that was in another close game. I think Times 2 was up by 12 at one point, and then West Warwick battled back, and they ended up winning that game by 4. What are your thoughts on like the Times 2 and their journey to get to the finals?
Yeah, so I think they kind of have a little of the opposite journey of Blackstone Valley Prep, where during the season they were beating a lot of teams by a lot and winning easily, and now in the playoffs they're grinding wins out. So it might actually help them, the fact that they've had all these close games, because there's not that often where championship games are blowouts. So it's probably going to be a close battle between them and Blackstone Valley Prep. So they're going to be ready, to win out these close games. And they have what it takes. I mean, Jason Peters is an MVP type player for Division 3. I mean, he's that good. He's been showing it all year. And in the playoffs hasn't been any different. I know like yesterday he was, outscoring the opponent at certain times, at the beginning of the game. Like he's just that good. And then he can also distribute the ball, and they have enough with Kobe Pena as well. So Jason's averaging around 28 points per game in the playoffs, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Kobe is, definitely being a good role player, averaging 15 points per game. So they have two good scorers. They have a team that's, ready to play. Coach Debo has them going. So definitely a really, really good team.
Yeah. And now what are your thoughts on these two, clashing, and what's it going to be like? What kind of, it seems like two different styles of play maybe, and then they're just going to beat up. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to come down to, who can impose their will and kind of play their way. Blackstone Valley Prep has a lot of size. Like I said, they've been winning by a lot. I think Times Sue's been grinding wins out, which is going to help them for the playoffs. Hopefully, Blackstone Valley Prep doesn't get too confident, too cocky, and their coaches have to kind of keep them at bay and, let them know, at least make them feel like they're the underdog still, which, technically they are, right? But I think it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a close game, and it's gonna come down, who has the ball at the end. And if it's Jason Peters with the ball in his hand, I think Times Sue is in a good spot.
Yeah, it's gonna be super interesting to see what happens between those two when they match up, and like Xavier and it seems like a battle of the 1-2 punches on both sides of the ball. You're gonna have Xavier Jordan, and then you're gonna have Jason Peters. So it's gonna be a very interesting matchup for sure, and we'll see what happens for sure.
Yeah, and I think Times Two is gonna try to full court press and whatnot, and Blackstone Valley Prep has shown all year that they've been able to handle the press, but you never know on the big stage what the other players are gonna do as well. So it's just gonna be a fun game, and just definitely looking forward to it.
Yep, you can catch that game at 12 o'clock on tomorrow for the first game for the finals. All right, let's move on to Division II. And for Division II, we do have a special guest coming in to talk about Division II. He is Pharrell Soares, who's going to be joining us. He had also played against these two guys. Pharrell, how's it going?
How you doing, Jeff?
Doing well. Pharrell, you know Ramon from Ball and RI?
Yes, sir.
How's it going, Pharrell?
Yes, how you doing, Ramon?
Good.
So,
Yes, sir.
all right, now we're on to our Division II finals. It's a battle of 3 seeds. We have 2 3 seeds who made it to the finals. You have Portsmouth on one side and Burrillville. They both advanced. They played very good teams. It was not an easy road for both teams. They had to get there, but they made it happen. Portsmouth are the defending champions. For Division II, they're making their finals appearance for 2 years in a row now. And Portsmouth had a crazy road to the finals. They beat Lincoln in the first game by 20 points, and then went on to play Tolman and beat them by 10. And then they had a tough matchup against an undefeated East Greenwich team where they beat them by 10. So, what are your thoughts on these teams? We'll start with you, Ramon, with Portsmouth.
Portsmouth, I mean, we said it from the beginning, right? So from a Bowling Arts perspective, they're a preseason #1 team for Division II from power rankings, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, again, no, are they #1? I mean, they won it the previous year. They're bringing back Benny Hurd, bringing back a lot of their supporting players. So, they should be the favorite. They come out and they lose to, both Pilgrim and East Greenwich. And you're like, oh, wow, that's not what we expected. And then they just won every game ever since. Right? So they've kind of been peaking ever since. They're a very well-coached team, a lot of good players, good defenders. So they've been doing kind of what they're supposed to do. Benny Hurd hasn't had to score a lot, but he's distributing the ball. I mean, he's averaging around 15 points per game. So, they have what it takes to win it. As we can see, they won it last year against a very tough Barrington team. They have a good chance against Burrillville this year again.
Yeah. And Pharrell, what was your thoughts? I mean, you played against Portsmouth. So what are your thoughts on going against Portsmouth and this team making it to the finals?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. Like after seeing them lose their first 2 games, I kind of going into like when they played us, I kind of thought like, okay, maybe we could like pull it off. Maybe we could upset them, like because like Ramon said, like they're back in the ship from last year. So now it's tough on Burrillville because Benny's been there before. So Ben knows what to do. I think they have like a few younger guys maybe, but like still like Portsmouth's just tough in general. So, I mean, I don't know. We just have to see how it plays out. It's going to be a good game for sure. It definitely is because Burrillville's tough. Burrillville is tough.
And that leads me into Burrillville. I mean, Burrillville had a great run as well, too, and they're playing some really good games. They had some close games. They unfortunately, sorry, Pharrell, they beat you guys by 10. And then,
yeah, man.
they went to beat Pilgrim in an overtime throw by 3. And then they also beat the #1 seed Wheeler by beating them by 3. I mean, Burrillville had some great defensive games, and they've also had some great players. Ramon, why don't you start us off with Burrillville?
Yeah, I mean, Burrillville, like Pharrell said, they're tough. They play tough defense. They went through, beat both Warwick teams, so they kind of had the little Warwick sweep. Then they go on to play Wheeler, a very tough team, hold off and beat them by 3. And they just, they have enough players that can score the ball, enough players who could just play ball, and they play very tough defense. Very well coached. Kevin Randall kind of gets those guys pumped and good to go every game. And they just, they've been on a run. They're probably asking themselves, why not us? Why can't we win it? So every win has been more confidence. To beat a team, beat Toga, then beat a good team like Pilgrim, then beat another great team by Wheeler. That just builds your confidence, and those are all close games. So they're going to be able to handle what Portsmouth brings to them, but it's just going to come down to that experience, which Pharrell mentioned is very important. Benny was there just last year. A couple of those other players were there just last year, so they know what that stage is like. So that makes a big difference.
And then Pharrell, what was it like playing against a Burville team and then watching them, go on to beat Pilgrim and advance?
Going into that game, and it was it was good energy. It sucks that we're not allowed to have fans. I feel like fans would have been like a very big impact. But we got down early. Actually, we were up, and then I think they cut it, and then they took the lead at half. And then going into the second half, like our coach just told us, like, guys, we need more intensity. Like, let's just figure out what we need to do. Like, let's try to get the ball in the basket. Let's try to score. So going into the fourth quarter, we cut it down, tied the game up, and they got on a run, and they just killed us from there. So, and then Pilgrim, like, I was shocked. I can't even lie. Like, I was just like, wow. Like,
so Pharrell, so Burwell had just beaten you, so you're like,
yeah.
And then Pilgrim is your crosstown rivals. Who was you cheering for in Burwell versus Pilgrim?
It was hard, man. It was hard to even decide, because it's like for me, like going to Tollgate, if you root for Pilgrim, like that doesn't even sound right. It doesn't even sound right. But like at the same time, like you want to see like kids, no matter from what school, like even if it's crosstown or whatever, like that Classical and Mount game. Like I know a few kids on each team, and they support each other.
Yep.
But watching that game, I definitely thought Pilgrim was gonna pull it off. But again, Burville, they just I don't know, like like they're really like they're like defense, like they're strictly defense, and their defense is amazing. Like I really don't even know what else to say.
Yeah, and they have pretty much balanced scoring, because I think in the playoffs, Jaden White is averaging 14 points, so he's like leading them in scoring. But then they have 2 other double figure scores, and Jack Bergen, Dean Aya, and then Wes playing with one ankle, and he's still out there scoring double figures. So they have a pretty good team.
Even the Wheeler game was like, because when I had checked, I think Wheeler was winning, and I texted Jeff, and I was like, oh, like what's going on with the game? And he was like, Burville's winning. I was like, Burville's winning, like. And then when the game ended, I just sat there and like they really made it to the championship. Like,
so imagine if they win it.
Like I sat there and I was just like, wow, like, that's crazy. Because they were good on the other side in D2. From what I've heard, they were really good on the other side.
Yep.
So we just have to see how it goes.
Yeah. What are your thoughts too? We have these two matching up. It seems like they both seem to have players averaging double figures, like 3 or 4 players averaging double figures. Like their 2 best players seem to be averaging 14, and then a few other guys are averaging 10. What are your thoughts about these two matching up? They have the experience and the defense, and I think Burville seemed to be like a very quiet team this year that's kind of made some noise in the playoffs. What are your thoughts? It starts off Pharrell.
What are my thoughts are like?
Don't pick either, so we don't want your DMs.
No, I won't pick. I'll definitely say like Portsmouth, don't get too ahead of yourselves, because I feel like a lot of teams tended to do that with Burrowville, and like look at the outcome. So don't like just take it like play by play.
And then
that's how I see it.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a great matchup. Like very similar teams, both defensive minded, both have some balanced scoring. I would say Portsmouth is going to have the best player on the court in Benny Hurd, so that can make a difference. But the way I think Coach Kevin Randall has those guys playing, I wouldn't be surprised, if they can kind of have the right game plan and they follow the game plan, and then all of a sudden, they find themselves in a close game again and they can pull it off. But we'll see how it goes. That's why the games are played. We got to wait and see it. We can't just call it before it happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's gonna be a crazy game. Pharrell, why don't you stick? Do you have time to stick around for Division One?
For sure.
All right, why don't you stick around?
Yeah.
So let's go into the Division One finals. It is, it's honestly the rematch I think we've all been waiting for. Classical versus Bishop. Classical got the best of them in the last matchup on January 29. Classical won that game matchup by 56-53. Their first two games for both of these teams, they won pretty easily. And then leading up to the semifinals, it was just probably two of the best games of the season. And imagine if the fans were there, because they're both went to overtime. They're throwers. They're really good games. Classical wins in overtime against Mount Pleasant, 56-53. Marquise hit a huge three-pointer to win that game, and then Hendricken wins in overtime over the South, 84-78. I mean, these two teams have battled their way to the finals. I mean, which should be an epic matchup. What are your thoughts, Ramon, on start us off, because I know you've had the rankings. We've gone back and forth with the Division One rankings. Now we got a really good matchup. What are your thoughts of Bishop Hendricken versus Classical, the rematch from January 29th?
Yeah, and I think before we jump into just that finals matchup, I think we got to give just due to those semifinal games. Those are probably the two best games of the year, and it was amazing to watch on the stream. And like Pharrell said, a lot of these, in that Classical Mount matchup, a lot of those guys are close friends, hang out with each other. They're playing against each other. They're brothers, twin brothers going against each other. Like, it was just so many good stories to watch during that game. And then Hendricken versus LaSalle, that's just an age-old rivalry. And for both of those games to live up to the hype and then some, like, it was just amazing. So I think, for Classical, they've been kind of up there all year, right? So, since the beginning of the year, I've been saying they have the best starting five, in the state, right? And they've been proving that over and over again. They beat Hendricken early in the year. Now they have to face them again. Beating Hendricken twice in 1 year is going to be very hard, but they get a chance to do it. Marquise is a man on a mission. So Marquise definitely, he plays very well in the AAU circuit as well. I'm sure he has some, prep school interest. He told me straight up, I'm coming back to win a championship. Now he has a chance to do that, right? What if he actually comes back and does what he said he was going to do? That's an amazing story. And then Stanley Ure, Ned has been playing amazing. Ned Fitzpatrick's been playing just amazing. Just a fun team to watch. And Classical's just been doing it over and over again. Just that win against Mount Pleasant showed how clutch that team can be, and he can be a different person every game.
Yeah, definitely. And then what are your thoughts on Classical, Pharrell?
Watching that game, man, it was I'm not gonna lie, for me, I was going for Mount, because like the way like I grew up, like my brothers played for Mount Pleasant, so it was like if Mount's like if they're like in the semis, then you gotta go for Mount. Because last year, my brother Henry hit the buzzer on them, so it was kind of like and then it was crazy because I was talking to my brother yesterday, and he was like, "Bro, Keys hit the game winner in the exact same spot I hit mine." I was like, "That's crazy."
Oh, wow,
that's crazy.
I was like, "That's crazy."
From the wing, yeah,
from the wing, and I was like, "Sheesh, man, like that's tough." And I was watching the news, and I was reading the news article, and I think the Classical coach was like we don't really beat them that much. So I think it was a big win for Classical. I definitely think it was the best game like all year, like just in general. If there were fans, like that whole like school would have been rocking. Like it would have just been crazy.
Yeah, I wish there was fans. Those are like the other game. That's a game that like was just back and forth. And I know Pharrell, you and I were texting through that whole game, talking like it was just a crazy game for sure. And then now we go to the other side. We go to Bishop Hendricken, who had another tough matchup. They played against a great LaSalle team who was undefeated throughout the season. It's another good matchup here, and it just Bishop Hendricken able to come out with the victory in this one, winning this one in overtime. I mean, Pharrell, what are your thoughts on Bishop Hendricken coming out and beating LaSalle?
Watching this game, Hendy got up early, but like I couldn't just turn the game off because I was like, like this is too good of a game to just like stop watching. And Raph he just went crazy. Him and Dimitri both. Like they just, I don't know if like a switch flipped or something. Like that last like 2 minutes of the game was just it was like they just locked up. They just locked up Hendy, and then they end up taking the lead. But Easy's just Easy. Like Easy's been doing that forever. I played AAU with Easy. He's just been doing that for like I don't even know how long.
Yeah, and a lot of people think Easy is just athletic, right? And then now he's showing like, no. I mean, I can dunk, but I can do other things,
yeah,
right?
No, he's not just athletic. He's not just athletic.
Yeah, so it was definitely a good game. Obviously, I was watching. I'm like, there is no way Hendrick is just gonna win this by like 20 and 15. Like this is too good of a rivalry for it to end that way. And then I see it little by little. LaSalle comes back, Hendy fights back. LaSalle comes back, Hendy fights back. And then at the end of the game, I was like, whoa, what just happened? And all of a sudden, they were up. So it looked like they were gonna win. When Rap makes that layup at the end, I'm like, wow, like now Hendricken has to come back and tie it. Like that's crazy. You're up the whole game. Now your back is against the wall. So sure enough, you can tell how well coached they are. They run a play. It looks like the first option wasn't there on the right wing, so they, send it back to Ezzy, and then he just went to the basket, like he should, no settle for no jump shot, nothing, just go to the basket, and it worked out. And then in overtime, I mean, they just kind of locked it up, made their free throws. But yeah, I think Hendricken obviously feels better winning any championship if they have to going through LaSalle. Like if they don't have to face LaSalle, they don't feel good enough. So I think they got that out of the way. Now they have to face Classical, who's somebody they lost to. So I know they have revenge on their mind. So it's gonna be a crazy game. That finals is gonna be amazing.
I think we're going to see a finals here with these two teams. I think it's a battle of, I think both have great starting five players that can either score and do something for them that like really can really step up their game. So I think we're going to see a great finals here. I mean, do you think we're going to get overtime? What do you think? I mean, just no predictions, but do you think we're going to get overtime? What do you think we're going to get? It seems like it's going to be crazy.
I could see an overtime with them. I could see that. Yeah. Definitely.
I think it's going to be another great match. I think it's going to be, hopefully, it better not be no blowout. Like refs, make sure it's a close game, refs, all right, please.
give us what we want. Give us what we need.
I think it's going to be a good game. I think Classical has more experienced players. Well, they have a lot of seniors or juniors and seniors. Whereas, Hendricken does play some younger players, but I think Hendricken sophomore is kind of battle tested, even, I think that coaching staff does a really good job. So I think, both Asmar and Ezzy, they're ready to go. So, no need to doubt them there just because they're younger or whatnot. They're ready to go. So it's going to be a great battle. It'll be good to see the adjustments made. But I think it's just going to come down to, who can hit the shots, the key shots, the clutch shots, because that's what it's going to come down to. I think they're both going to be good defensively. Cam, Hughes, big body down low. So, Classical's going to have their hands full. I think Hendricken's going to put more of an emphasis of dropping the ball down low to him, and he has the moves. He can pass it out of there. So it'll be interesting to see, how Classical defends that. But I think, Alexis, even though he's smaller, Alexis is strong enough and smart enough to kind of, front the post, go behind the post, whatever he has to do. And then Everson is big enough as well. So it'll be a good game. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Pharrell? What do you think? Thoughts on the matchup?
Yeah. Same thing. Like, I think Hendy's gonna be more prepared because what happened in the first game. Like Ned's a shooter. Like I didn't realize that until the Mount game, and I was like, he just had a step back, like to put them down one. I was like, yo, he really just hit that, like
so smooth
between the legs step. I said, what? Like he really just made that. I think that's where most of their energy came from too. After that, I feel like they just went and got it.
Yeah.
But I think Classical is going to be, like those kids are hungry. Like Stanley, Marquise, Evans, like all of them, like those dudes are dogs, man. So I mean, I wouldn't doubt. I wouldn't put any doubt in Classical at all.
It's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm excited. I am also just so happy that we got the finals and we got what we got here with everything that's been going on with COVID, and everyone's been being really safe, and proud of everyone to do that and make this happen. So it really means a lot for us as fans, like that we're able to see these teams because, you, the guys, the players, Pharrell, and I know you deliver the message a lot. You guys have been wear the mask, be safe, and it sounds like the message really took.
Thank God, because
Yes.
At least we made it. Like,
No,
Yeah.
definitely.
we made it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I hate to bring it back to this again, but with these matchups happening, even the semifinals and then the Saturday games, like it would have just been crazy. Like, Rhode Island College it would have been so packed with fans from both teams, and then just from fans all over the state because, when you have those big names up there playing, everybody shows up, and it's just it would have been amazing. But we will get to see it on live stream, so we get to watch it comfortably from home. And so that was another thing that was funny yesterday during some of the YouTube games. The comment section was just on fire. So I was loving the comment section all over the state. Everybody joining. So we'll get to see the games on NFL Chats this weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Excited for these matchups. Now, just a reminder: Division III plays at 12, D2 plays at 2, and D1 plays at 4. So those are our matchups for this upcoming weekend. This great Saturday full of basketball. We're in March. Anything could happen. So March Madness was in full effect with these playoffs with overtimes and everything like that. So this is gonna be a lot of big excitement. Ramon, Pharrell, do you guys have anything to say before we sign off?
Thank you for everybody. Thank you to everybody who wore their masks and made sure we finished our season for sure. Because for me, like my school, thank you. Also, thank to Interscholastic League for adding another team to the playoffs because we weren't even supposed to be in. So I mean, I thank you to everybody who wore their masks. We're being safe. I was happy that we at least got to play this season. So, going out like that, like my coach told me told us as a team, don't put your heads down, like walk out with your head up. So, I mean, just being able to play this year was a blessing in itself. So thank you to everybody who made sure that we were able to finish our season because it really means a lot.
No, definitely. I think beyond basketball, just want to let all the kids, don't take anything for granted. Obviously, you saw this year how, your basketball season just could have been gone. You just used to, oh yeah, sign up for trials, go to, I'm going to play again. We're going to have 30 games or whatever. Anything, don't take anything for granted. And, just value everything you have.
Yeah, it's great. It's really true. Always be safe. Everyone be safe out there during these crazy times. Hopefully we'll get back to some normalcy. Hopefully we'll be able to attend the next year's finals and, be able to sit there. And, I just want to say thank you once again to you, Ramon, for everything that you've done, being on the show and being a part of it. And Pharrell, thank you so much for always being, you've been a guest a few times on the show and then being a part of the show as well too. So I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate everyone, the listeners out there. Great feedback. I always hear from people. So really thank you guys for tuning in and paying attention and, being so supportive of what we've been doing here. So, thank you guys very much. Be safe